Hi, guys. Welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy. Get ready for the Gyp Dip, also known as Gypsy Rose Liar Liar Pants on Fire tour, or as some like to call it, her Change the Narrative tour on tonight's Parawomenradio. It's a roller coaster of hilarity and frustration all rolled into one. We'll be dissecting her interviews on the Viall files, where she made an appearance with her husband Ryan at the beginning of the year and now had her boyfriend Ken in tow for this latest one. Will she continue her tradition of sitting uncomfortably close and giving a little squeeze when the person next to her isn't following the narrative? I don't know. They sat so far apart that Ken would have fell off the couch if he'd sat any further away from the gypster. So buckle up, folks. It's time for another episode about Gypsy Rose Blanchard on Parawomenradio. I'm going to roll some credits while I wait for the rest of the power crew to roll in. Shout out to my replay crew and to my dragonflies. It's Friday, babies. Guys, welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy.
Carefully strumming this old guitar, words rolling out into the fire. Never ask why my heart burned blue. Here in the haze where you inspire me. Here in the darkness I hear my cue. Time to find some solitude. Here where my soul bleeds openly, deep in the heart of sin and you. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you.
Oh, Shauna Faircloth, don't we all just love this shit show called Gypsy Rose Blanchard? Okay, so we have not been talking about Gypsy so much lately because I got tired of her. But we still got to talk about her nonsense when she does nonsense. And she's doing this like Gypsy Rose tour of her narrative, and as far as I can see, the media is eating it up, just eating it up. And it made me think, like, do I think Gypsy Rose will ever be held accountable for all the damage she is doing to society, to people, to her family, to this baby that's probably coming that she had no business creating during. Well, anyway, do we think she will ever be held accountable for this nonsense? Will we see karma bite her in the ass? That's tonight's poll. We have yes, no, or I don't know, but I sure hope so. So be sure to vote and let me know how you're feeling. I will try to remember. I do have a show note to remember to look at the poll at the end of tonight. If you see that I haven't pulled it up and you think I'm winding things down, if you could just say like, hey, Amy, you got a poll going, sister. Remind us, because I always forget. Okay, guys, what do you think? Do you think? I think she will. I think you cannot pull that much karma in one lifetime and not have it eventually bite you in the butt. So my answer is a resounding yes, but I want to know what you guys think. I remember somebody used to always say to me, and he was annoying as whatever, but it keeps ringing in my mind. That he used to say, "Give them enough rope and they'll hang themselves." And I think truly that's what to happen with Gypsy Rose. The more the media picks up her story and runs it as this is the story, the more laid back she's going to get, the more mistakes she'll make. And I don't know. I think that's how it's going to end for her. She's going to feel comfortable because Gypsy Rose can't stop. Like, if she got $10 million tomorrow, Gypsy Rose wouldn't stop. She would stay on social media and continue because that's just who she is. There's people like that out there in the world, obviously. And she's just one of them. So yeah, that's what I think about all of that. All right. So let's get into it. Are you a dragonfly? Because dragonflies are my members over on YouTube, and it's $2.99 a month. We release videos early. We give shout outs to the dragonflies and the intro, or I'm sorry, it's in the outro now. And when we have merch, we'll give special discounts. We have special emojis that only the dragonflies have. And yeah, it's just actually a way to support the channel while I support you back. And it's $2.99 a month, and we would love to have you. And I'm going to put the link in the comments right now, or up on the screen. I'm sorry. And yeah, there it is. Today we're coming to you over on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Hi, everyone. Oh, Laura Lee, thank you so much for the super sticker. It is really, really appreciated. There's lots of ways that you can help me out. And Laura Lee, I'm sorry, Laura Lynn. There is a famous YouTuber called Laura Lee, and I always, sorry, Laura Lynn, who is one of my mods, which makes it 10 times worse that I keep calling her Laura Lee. And every time I do it, Laura Lynn, just know that it like eats at my soul that I'm doing that. I'm so sorry. I'm trying not to do that. But thank you so much. This is another way to support me. And any way that you can do it, it's just really, really appreciated. This is a way over on YouTube, over on Facebook. It's stars, and you can buy me a cup of coffee over on Facebook. But okay, so let's dive into this. Hold on one second. Oh, I love you too, Laura Lynn. I'm so sorry. I almost thought about calling you LL because I always nickname my friends anyway. But I don't know. I don't know how you feel about that. But anyway, let's get into the Gypsy Rose Liar Liar Pants on Fire tour. I'm having a fibro flare, so I just wanted to make it easy on me, easy on you, and we're just going to cover the Viall files tonight. And for me, I really didn't know what the Viall files was before Gypsy Rose. So I thought that we could kind of look really quick who is on the Viall files and why do they keep having her on? Like, what kind of person? We're going to get into it. But first, let me share my screen and show you who I'm talking about. Viall. Yeah. Am I saying it wrong? I'm probably saying it wrong. Then it's not Viall files. It's, am I saying it wrong? Let me look at Viall. Viall. Is it Viall? Viall files? Am I saying, is it Viall? And not say the I? I'm probably saying that. Okay. It's probably Viall because you're saying Viall is more like it. Okay, so Viall files. They did it. You think they did it to boost their views? Because do you think they believe Gypsy Rose's narrative? Because they've had him. her on twice, once with her husband and now, and I don't say ex-husband because Gypsy Rose Blanchard is still married to Ryan Scott Anderson. And Ryan Scott Anderson has some things to say, and I've got that. We are going to look at Ryan tonight to see his response since he was on the first. Did what? You guys said I was right, but I said it Viall with the I, and then I said Viall. Is it with the I or without? Ville. Okay, so it's with the I. Gotcha. Viall files. Okay. Okay. That's another thing that bothers me about me is my mispronunciations of words. But okay, so he says my name is Nick Viall, and I host the Viall Files podcast that one anonymous reviewer called surprisingly insightful and substantive. I don't know how insightful they could possibly be if they're carrying along the Gypsy Rose narrative. I've seen like clips of it. I have not watched it in its completion. We are going to watch it, but it'll be sped up and I'm going to talk through it for fair play use. And I do this for almost everything we view. And I put everything that we view down in the show notes over on YouTube in the description. So if you want to watch it in its entirety, you can go there and get the link. But I don't know how insightful and substantive it could be with having Gypsy Rose on twice, not asking hard-hitting questions. And to me, you're just obviously doing it for views. And if Gypsy Rose Blanchard wanted to come on my show, I would have to be able to ask her certain questions. And I understand that there's usually an agreement, like you can't ask me this, don't ask me that. But if she says you can't ask me this, don't ask me that, and it's something that we want to know, I want to know, no, I wouldn't have her on. It doesn't matter how much money it would get me. I wouldn't have her on. Just like I don't go on certain shows, which would get me money, and views, but it's not about that for everyone. And that makes me happy that I know I'm not alone out there. I know there's other creators out there that are just like that. And so the Viall Files explores all things dating and love, from post-breakup healings to salacious texts, and our 3 weekly episodes. Mondays, I take calls from listeners with our popular Ask Nick Advice segment. Bachelor fans out there, check out my breakdowns, at least of last night's episode and the Tuesday Bachelor recaps. Finally, Thursdays, I have an in-depth conversation with a special guest. And once a month, our Ask Nick callers returns to the show with updates. So tune into the Viall Files because relationships are complicated and we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot of fluff to cover. No insights. Just fluff. I'm sorry. That's all I think about this show is fluff and doing it for clicks and views. Period. Put a period on that. Yes. Sizzle. Asking Gypsy giving life advice is ugh. And asking Gypsy life advice is ugh. Oh, is there a lot of ads tonight? Okay, let me fix that. YouTube changed their thing, and now if I don't remember to go in and change the frequency of the ad, it doesn't. That should be better for you guys. Let me know if it's better. Okay. So that's the Viall Files, and I'm trying to think if we should just go into it, or you know what? First, I want to go in and talk about Ryan Scott Anderson and look at Gypsy when she went on the Viall Files the first time. We're not going to watch all of this. We're just going to look at little pieces of it. And then we're going to look at Ryan and, his responses and what he's planning on doing and what he's saying. And then we'll go into the actual updated episode that was just, it was when she went out to San Francisco, I believe. So this was her on the first one.
Okay. And everybody in the room just like jumped up and was like ready to like, am I, fight or am I okay?
Yeah.
They were freaking out for me. And I'm like, no, guys, I got this. Like, it's something that I'm going to have to address because it's always in my comments. Like, why are we glorifying a murderer and this and that and the other? And, I don't want to have to remind people every single time that I'm not the one that committed the act of the kill. So, I'm a part of it.
Right.
But in the state of Missouri, there's no such thing as accessory to murder. So technically,
they
couldn't charge me with accessory because that charge doesn't exist. So, I mean, had I been in another state, I would have been charged with accessory to commit murder.
Oh, that makes sense.
So,
okay.
yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Gypsy, welcome to the Viall Files.
Thank you for sharing that. Let's go forward and show when Ryan makes an appearance and and then we'll see. This was when Ryan came on the show. Now the set is different. The couch was a lot smaller. Gypsy was sitting in his lap, right next to him, holding his hand, doing her little squeezy squeeze.
It's completely full.
Okay.
Like I'm amazed.
This is Gypsy Rose's husband, who she's still married to, Ryan Scott Anderson.
Every day that I'm with this woman right here. Like it's been a roller coaster ride, but I'm enjoying it. I love the fact that I'm the one that's honored to be next to her.
You guys have already been through a lot. Gypsy, you in the documentary, again, were, really I love your openness. Like
Thanks.
it's for someone who's been criticized for being deceitful and a liar. I'm really inspired by what seems to me a genuine effort to try to get.
Okay, now I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass here because Gypsy had just come out of prison here. I think this was done in January. And I believed her narrative at this point. I had not really, this was 9 months ago. I hadn't really looked into, I'd watched the docuseries and I had watched the Act, which I don't know, is that considered a docuseries? And then the documentary, Mommy, Dead and Dearest. And then there were other things. And Gypsy, like this case just caught me right away because I was like, oh, that's weird, and I was going through my mom's stuff, but my mom never tried to make me sick like this. But, I was going through my mom's stuff. And so it like made me very interested. And so, this was her when she first came out, and I would give Nick a pass because I would give myself a pass because, and I would say this too, Gypsy Rose has done this for, I think, a lot of us. She's like woke us up to, you cannot believe docuseries, documentaries. You have to vet things for yourself. And I think that's a way that the world is actually waking up, and P. Diddy is doing that for us. I mean, we're realizing that there's an agenda in Hollywood, and Gypsy Rose is falling into the mechanism of the agenda in Hollywood, and she's making a lot of shows, big money, and but I would give him a pass on this interview because I don't know, I believed it too.
Get it right. Mm-hmm. And you talked a little bit about, lying to your stepmother. Mm-hmm. You've talked about lying to Ryan, about Ken.
Oh, was it? Okay.
How have you guys continued to work through?
So I'm hearing that this one was in New York and the second one was in LA. I knew the second one was, oh gosh, yeah, I guess I did know that because she was doing her first Liar Liar Pants on Fire tour in New York, and then she took it to LA. And now she's going to take it across the nation because she's on parole and Gypsy can just go anywhere she wants. Heck, I heard she's going over to, I'm sorry, I'm lying, but I couldn't say it without laughing. I heard she's going over to Europe next. And she's not even off parole. No, I'm joking. Can she? Like, even when she's off of parole, well, can you travel overseas when you are a convicted felon? I don't know that. Well, you must, because I don't know if you must, because I was going to say there's other like convicted musicians, I think, that have traveled, but there's also convicted people that are not allowed to travel. Sizzle, what do you know anything about that?
Through the struggles that you have had, and how has Ryan continued to be supportive throughout that struggle?
I think it's all about communication. My dad, one of the first things he said when I got engaged was, you need to have good communication or else everything's going to fall apart.
Mhm.
So our communication skills are like on point. We're very open and honest with each other. Even brutal.
So this communication was on point because she's got his hands squeezed in a vice, and Ryan knew how to act and behave. I don't think Ken knows how to act and behave. So, but let's go on and see what Ryan's saying about this second interview. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek. This is what Gypsy, and we are going to watch all of the Viall files. This is the second interview, and the LA interview. We'll separate them by the LA and New York interview. So this was the LA interview, and this is what she had to say about her ongoing divorce,
which will be finalized sometime this month. I mean, honestly, I have been trying to have a very civil conversation with Ryan about everything because we don't communicate often.
Liar.
I really just wanted to have that closure, that one conversation. That
liar. I said this. I said, watch. She tells Son that she has continued contact with Ryan because she's trying to soften him up for a good divorce. Or I was kind of close. She probably told him she's having contact so she can have closure. She needs closure. Gypsy Rose just needs closure. You can tell Gypsy Rose has been in therapy because she now uses her big words.
And I closed everything up. And we had that. Unfortunately, I feel like I'm in a place of higher healing and an elevated healing than he is right now. And so I've kept my distance, hoping that he could find that happiness and that healing for himself. What I want for him is to find his happiness in whatever form that is. And I encourage that. I have no ill will towards him at all. I wish him the very best. But any communication right now is just not in the best interest of our healing. I'm still going through the divorce.
Oh, Gypsy Rose is exhausting, but she's a good liar. If you don't know she's lying, she's really good at it. She's really good. So, I mean, I'm not going to begrudge people that have not been on the internet kind of doing their research. And the reason that I continue to do Gypsy Rose stuff is in the hopes that one day this will all stop. But also, maybe someone will share my content or someone will see my content and be like, oh, I didn't know she was like that. And by the way, talking about sharing content, I really, instead of asking you to give this live a thumbs up, which I would love for you to do, what I'm really asking for tonight is that you share my content. My views have been down so far. Like half. My views are cut in half. They're down so low in half. And I'm not being dramatic. It's like in half, probably less than half. And I don't know what's going on. I think it's probably because I haven't been covering Gypsy Rose as much or the Watts case. I've been trying to branch off into other cases. But if you could just share my content, That helps. That would help me out tremendously, and that would make me so happy. You can share to, like, if you're on YouTube, you can share to your community section. If you're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you can do Telegraph, WhatsApp. You can share you can share to Pinterest. You can share anywhere these days. And it would really make me so happy if you did that. But let's go into now looking at what Ryan had to say about this interview. And then I'm going to stop talking about it and we're going to go into the interview.
Now, aside from the baby bump drama going on with Gypsy, there's a whole other conversation people are having around her name right now. And it has to do with a ring on her boyfriend Ken's certain finger. Recently, people had noticed that in an Instagram photo posted of the two of them, Ken was wearing a ring on his ring finger. And those online were very curious about what this all meant, since last time anyone checked, her and Ken were not engaged and they can't get married because she's still technically married to Ryan Anderson. But according to TMZ, they wrote, our source—
I will say this about Gypsy Rose. This was a cute outfit I thought she was wearing. And wasn't she pregnant in this outfit? She managed to pull off. She does manage. I feel like what she's doing is she's just copying Mia. This is an outfit that Mia, I think, would wear. She's trying to look like Mia. She's like trying to be a Mia 2.0, right? Mia should be scared, because anyone Gypsy fixates and focuses on and tries to emulate is usually in trouble. But I will say that it's usually men that are in trouble, not women.
Technically married to Ryan Anderson.
Well,
but according—
actually, I take that back, because she unalived a woman. So I take that back completely.
to TMZ, they wrote, our sources say the promise ring is a symbol Gypsy is committed to their relationship and their new family with their baby girl on the way, and it also represents their love. Now, in terms of a ring for Gypsy, TMZ also reported, no ring for Gypsy, at least not yet. We're told the couple doesn't feel it's appropriate for her to wear a ring on that finger until after her divorce from Ryan Anderson is finalized. And speaking of Ryan, the last time we talked about him, he was throwing all kinds of shade towards Ken, saying Gypsy would be with him again if she wasn't pregnant. And he was also calling out Ken for not having a job and the fact that he's about to be a dad.
Like, Gypsy's pregnant, right? Why didn't the dude have a job? Does the dude have a job yet? Like, Ken, you got a job yet? I mean, well, you held a job and what, you lost it? You quit?
I used to feel like, well, I still feel like there's something wrong with Ryan, because he went after, he's a special eds teacher, and he went after someone whose co-defendant was a special ed person and has said horrible things about said special eds person. And the girl, the woman he fell in love with, looked like a special eds person, pretended to be a special eds person. But now these days, he's just pathetic. But he thinks Gypsy's coming back. And you know what? If he takes her back, you get what you get, sir. That's all I have to say about that. You get what you get. Although I do have a soft heart. And when I said that, something else played in my mind. But still, my hard side says, you get what you get, sir.
Yeah, or something like, what's the deal? I mean, get a job, bro. You think you about to be a daddy, but you ain't got no damn job? What a joke. You just gonna live off Gypsy forever?
Well, Ryan, get a backbone. Get a brain. Realize that Gypsy Rose is playing you. And the only reason she has been in contact with you is because, well, no, there's a few reasons. One, Gypsy loves a triangle. I think the triangle gives her, it makes her feel wanted, needed, passion, desired. She likes the conflict. So Gypsy loves a triangle. So you're going to stay in the triangle because you're good at it. Two, Gypsy Rose wants you to either give her money in this divorce or not take any money from her, because she's greedy. She talks about how she doesn't care that stuff costs twice, 3 times, 10 times the amount in a airport gift shop, which she probably doesn't on some level, but on a very deeper level, she cares a lot about money. She's all about the money and what it gets her. So, and 3, what would be the third? I know there's a third. There's a third on my mind, but 3, she knows she can play you. Whatever. Just stop doing it.
Do I honestly believe that if Gypsy wasn't pregnant, would she be back with me? Possibly. You want my honest opinion? Possibly.
Now, for those of you who might have forgotten, Ryan is a teacher, so he had plenty of time this summer to get on TikTok Live and let everyone know how he was feeling whenever something was coming out about Ken and Gypsy. He gave constant updates on Live, but ever since the school year started, he has kind of cooled off a bit from going live.
She's never worked for money so I think that's one of the reasons why she's perfectly fine with paying so much at an airport gift shop for some chocolate frog. Like, I mean, she's obviously done it before, paid a lot of money for chocolate frogs at an airport, you know. No, she has never had to work for her money, so she's perfectly fine with doing what she's doing. What she's really doing is buying chocolate frogs on her TikTok supporters' money, kids that can't afford it, people that are probably special ed people that are giving it to her that just don't realize, and people that she is preying on that. I don't mean to say special. I don't know. Is that bad to say? Because I think some of them are lower functioning, that would be the only way you would give money to her. So I don't know if that's true, but I think that she preys on people that are either soft-hearted, lower functioning, or just idiots. I don't know.
I don't know if it really is the school year having his schedule just a little bit more packed, or if he realized he was saying just a little too much, but he's been rather quiet for the most part, which has honestly been for the best because it was getting really messy there for everyone. And Ryan was getting a lot of backlash as well for continuing to talk about Gypsy when she's very clearly moved on. But the last time he went live was almost a month ago. And when he did, he said he was trying to not be mean online, but that he did have a certain video idea that he was hinting at making that was about Gypsy or Ken.
I have an idea for a video that I'm going to do. Like, it'll probably be a video where I talk smack, though. So kind of curious if I'm going to do it or not. I'm trying not to be mean. Oh, please, people want me to do a mean video. Be mean. Of course y'all want me to be mean. Like, y'all would love if I was being mean. I might do it. But
not even mean. How about just be honest? What about that? Because, you know, a lot of times when people are honest, they get called haters. So I think that and I don't agree with that. I think like when you're honest, like you shouldn't be called a hater, just because you hate what's being said, if it's the truth. But yes, Cinnamon, I wonder that too. Cinnamon Rolls 420 says, do you honestly think that she could have other men on the line and hiding it from Ken because she seems to be very hypersexual and it seems like one man is not enough for her? Yes, I 100% think that that's possible. And also she could be having hookups. We don't even know. Maybe that's a reason why Ken's moving in, because Gypsy Rose is like, oh yeah, the neighbor down the street was like blah 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 blah, and I was like, ah, and then Ken's thinking that, you know, knowing her, she'll hook up with them. So he's got to move in on it. Ken seems so annoyed and so pissed off by her. And so like, if he could, it's such brother energy. Like, you know, like if, I don't know if your brother ever did this, but you know, hold her down on the floor and pretend like, and like let a line of drop a spit onto her. Like, I feel like that's what he wants to do to her, and not in a like sexual good way. Like, just like torment her. Like, I can't wait until they break up because Ken will torment her. Ken is not Ryan. He's not gonna be like, oh, I think she's a good person. Especially if there's a baby in there, it's gonna be vicious. And I hate to say that because I don't think Ken is elevated and anyway, I mean, Ken is not. Ken is not. So, okay.
Who do you think is going to be directed at? Gypsy or Ken? Let's do a poll.
So far, the video hasn't come out, so maybe he decided it was better off keeping whatever he was about to say online to himself. But he was really playing into the idea a month ago about making this mean video, and also tossed out the idea of maybe this mean video being about Gypsy's stepmom, Christy, noting that he can't stand her and Ken, and later ended up calling Christy crusty.
Who should I be mean to more? Ken Red, Christy Blue. Let's do Ken and Christy. So those are the ones I can't stand. Ken Red, Christy.
I'm voting for Gypsy, because Ken and Christy are, it's just like when a person cheats on somebody and the person is mad at the person they cheated with, when, yeah, be mad at that person, but the person that you need to be the most mad at is the person that's cheating on you, and maybe yourself too, to look at like what happened in this relationship that this is going on. And if you can't figure out anything, then yeah, be mad at the man first, and then, or if it's a woman, be mad at the partner first, and then the person that they did it with second, and maybe you third, because you always have to take responsibility in situations in your life. You just do. That's just like, I think what we're here for is to have things happen to us, take responsibility, make it into a lesson so that you move on and you're just like a great person. So,
Blue. Who should I do a video about and be mean if I'm going to do a mean one? I dislike them both, honestly, but whatever. Do a mean video about Krusty. That's probably who my target was going to be. I'm just joking.
He later went on to talk about the reasons that he doesn't like Christy, which if you watch the reality show, then you know exactly why he doesn't like her, because she played a very big role in getting Ken and Gypsy back together. She was in communication with Ken and was telling Gypsy that he was saying all these things about her and was really pushing for them to reconnect. So Ryan, who was obviously married to Gypsy and still is right now, seeing all of this go down on the show, just felt really hurt by the fact that her stepmom was advocating for her to be with this other guy instead of the guy that she was married to. And so on live, he was calling her out for this.
Why don't I like Christy? Really? Have many reasons not to like her. She, yeah, I blame her for a lot. I blame her a lot. You know, she knew what she was doing. Like, she's conniving and manipulating worse.
really looking at the way that Christy and her sister looked at Ryan, and I mean, and his sweat rag, the way they looked at him, like he was going to sweat on them or something, or the sweat rag was going to attack them. I could tell they didn't like him.
You know, whatever.
At one point, Ryan was even spilling some things, mentioning that he feels he got the short end of things here and that he was there for Gypsy when no one else was, even Christy.
You think I deserve what I got? Do you think I got a raw end of a stick? Because I guarantee you, I deserve way better. You know, it's funny, I was there for when nobody was. You know, it's funny to me that I think about certain things, like it's funny looking there because like I've got texts from back in the day where I was actually texting Christy like, hey, Gypsy's been calling you for 2 weeks and you haven't been in touch with her. Like, what's the deal? You all right? And yet she's there for her. Down. Wasn't there in prison that much. I had to freaking reach out and be like, hey, Gypsy's tried to call you for 2 weeks. Where you been? So I just think it's funny that who cares? Who cares? I mean, who cares? It's over. I mean, who cares?
Exactly, Ryan. Who cares? It's just really time for you to move on with your life. If this is the month that the divorce happened, and if the baby isn't yours, it's just time for you to move on.
It's just funny to me.
Okay, so let's actually move on ourselves and go into the Viall files. But before this updated one, but before we do, I also thought this was hilarious. I found this woman over on TikTok, and she's like giving us like a 2.5 minute rundown on this Viall file episode, and I thought it would be funny to watch it to see how spot on it is. And so, yeah.
This is podcast on the Viall file, so you don't have to. I'm going to recap it in less than 2 minutes. So they were doing like a lot of sniffing each other's farts. Yeah, they were like, yours smells good. So does yours. Oh my God. Oh, that one was amazing. That smelled like broccoli and shrimp fried rice. And then anyways, like, you know, Gypsy's talking all about herself. Of course, they don't ask her any hard questions. She says she's going to tell her baby when she grows up that she whacked her grandma, but she's going to do it in her own way, which of course we all know it's manipulative. She's going to control the narrative, y'all, don't worry. And then she said that she doesn't really know the Kardashians. She's just obsessed with them. And she knows that Kim has sisters. That's pretty much it. That's all she knows about them. And then they asked her, did you watch episodes of Kardashian? She was like, I watched my episode. And then they were just all like, yeah, tell me more. Like, oh my God, yeah. And then Gypsy was like, yeah, and my hair used to be brown. And then Ken was like, yeah, her hair used to be brown. And she had silvers. And
I wonder if anyone has caught her in that lie, because she said that she had never seen the Kardashians. Like, she had heard of them, but she had never seen an episode of the Kardashians. Man, I just felt like that would be a lie that we're going to catch her in one of these days.
Big nose. But I mean, I love her now. And then Gypsy was like, I cut my hair with toenails, whatever, and her hair is getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and it's getting fried. And I'm telling you, I used to do that when I was like 12, and I'm like, all my hair fell out. So she's heading to be like bald like her baby. But you know, whatever. If the girl wants to go blonde, let her go blonde just to keep her man. That's fine. I learned that Gypsy doesn't know any of Ken's friends. That when Ken met his barber in the airport and his wife came up, she did like a She doesn't like other people. She doesn't like Ken's friends. She doesn't like other couples because they threaten her, because that's what she wants but can't have. And basically Ken looks like Gypsy's dad in the airport, who's annoyed at her talking to other people like she's a teenager talking to her friends. But yeah, basically the Viall files just did like a terrible job with interviewing her. I wish they wouldn't have had her back on. They were like, yeah,
So that was a complete rundown, but we're going to still go and we're going to watch it because I haven't seen it yet. Have you? Have you seen it yet? I've just seen clips of it. I wanted to save it for us. Sizzle, welcome back. Welcome back. I haven't seen you around in a while. So happy to have you back as a mom, as a dragonfly. Okay. So Viall files. Here we go.
It's so good to see you again.
It's good to see you too.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's a loaded question, but how's life been?
Busy and excited.
I mean,
definitely
at this
full.
point,
Yes.
At this point, I 100% believe that this guy, Nick, knows everything about Gypsy there out on the internet, and he is just choosing to ignore it to get clicks and views.
Yes. Last time we saw you, Natalie was 9 months pregnant.
Mhm.
I was close. I was like 8 months pregnant. So
Yeah.
the roles have
reversed now.
It's crazy. How are you feeling pregnancy wise?
I'm feeling good. My first and second trimester was actually really easy.
Okay.
I had no morning sickness, which I was blessed to, not have that. But now that I'm kind of going into the third trimester, now I'm just starting to get slower.
Yep.
And now I feel like it's harder to sleep and get comfortable. And she kicks all the time.
Oh, do you know that? So you know the gender?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a girl.
Congratulations.
Oh,
Oh, wow, how
yeah.
cute. Yes.
Oh, girl mom.
Ken, how are you?
I'm feeling good.
You're feeling good. Congratulations to you as
Thank
well.
you. Yeah,
how
thank
does
you.
it feel to be about to be a new dad?
I mean, it's exciting. It's a little bit nerve-wracking too, being a first-time parent. But honestly, like, I think the excitement overwhelms like the the nervousness.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
I mean, as the months tick.
Ken looks like he's put on some baby weight. She looks like she's losing, and he looks like he's carrying the baby for her. Do you think Ken's carrying the baby for her?
Down, we're just a few months away, and honestly, I couldn't be more thrilled. So,
And you're how far along?
I'm 25 weeks so
Okay.
far.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's exciting. Obviously, the last time we were with you, different situation. You
Ken's
were
in
in a
his
different
third
relationship. A
trimester.
lot's happened.
Mhm.
Even on that episode, Ken got brought up a little bit. Listen, we didn't know, Ken. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the promise ring is gone now, isn't it? I think Ken's very embarrassed by a lot of things that Gypsy does, and he's like, no, not gonna wear that. Nope.
She had just gotten out. We figured, Gypsy needed some time to figure things out.
Sure.
Yeah. We got to
Whatever.
watch the documentary, and that essentially.
That seems to be my comeback on a lot of Gypsy Rose stuff. Whatever. I'm sure. Yeah, right.
kind of ended when you
Gypsy Rose turns me into a 10-year-old.
entered into the picture, so to speak. And I guess let's start there, kind of where, I'm hoping to kind of have a nice little conversation about kind of how everything has been since we last saw you. So I guess, Ken, how did you enter back into the picture. When Gypsy got out of prison, did you watch our episode with Gypsy when you got brought up? Were you kind of out there kind of feeling a certain way? And then what prompted you to reach back out and start this beautiful relationship back up?
Well, I think at first I had seen her Lifetime doc, Prison Confessions, where she talked about me like towards the end and like displayed some feelings about our separation and talked about how it ended. And it wasn't fully accurate. So like it kind of broke my heart to see her cry and see her have this description of how our relationship ended. It made me just want to like set the record straight and like let her know.
Also, I don't believe for one gosh darn second that this right here, these lips right here, are from a lip liner called Pillow Talk. Come on now, Gypsy. Did you meet with Kim's sister on the side and she's like, hey, this is what you do. You just tell them it's lip liner. Oh, that is more than lip liner. That's a little bit of stuff injected into her lips and it's done really well. I don't believe that's lip liner. And also, why are you doing that pregnant? Why are you getting your hair done pregnant? Is she pregnant? Like, I seriously think maybe Ken's carrying the baby.
Know like what the real reasons were at the time. I mean, this is going back 5 years ago. And so that kind of like prompted me to reach out. But it was more just like, hey, I'm happy to see you out. I'm happy to see you smiling. I'm happy to see you thriving. I wish you the best. And that was like the initial point of contact.
I guess, can you bring us back up to speed in terms of what did Gypsy say about the ending of that relationship and what did you feel wasn't accurate? She
had just said that like I had just like left her because like the media attention was just too much. And like all the like the fame behind it, like articles and whatnot kind of scared me away. And that just wasn't accurate. That wasn't true. I thought that this air was clear at the time, but I realized that it wasn't. So I wanted to set it straight and let her know that like when we had separated 5 years ago, it was because a lot of people had been reaching out to me at the time, like big name people and just hundreds of regular people across social media.
She was married, Ken. You didn't need to fix anything. You wanted the money and the fame and you came back in. Plus you were talking to Krusty.
Just like telling me that like, you need to allow her to have this journey of self-discovery and not give her another form of codependency, having been through so much and never really living her life on her own, that, she should allow her this time to get through her sentence and just allow her to build this self-identity. And that really like hit home with me. And I felt that to be true. So that was the reason why we had separated.
That makes sense.
How was that for you, Gypsy, to hear
that? That is quite the theory. And I actually have heard this theory before. Just recently. Nico Moon says, I have a theory that Gypsy and Big Ed may be the same person. Also the Penguin from Batman. Anyone seen them in the same room together? Gypsy Rose could be Big Ed. I think she could. Big Ed, what? He's from that 90 Day Fiance, if you don't know who we're talking about.
That was his reasoning instead of what you thought.
That was very emotional. He didn't tell it to me. I learned about this through Christy. So Christy had told this, everything to him and then relayed that back to me in a FaceTime call. And immediately I started crying. Like the emotions came up and I felt like all that resentment that I was carrying for all those years, because obviously I was displaying that in the last.
We're going to actually go forward because we've already heard this story and it's just more of her narrative. I'm probably going to end up doing this a lot because I can only take so much of her lie to lie. Like when we go into the next lie, I can only take so much of that particular lie. And then I'm like, nope, we got to move on to the next lie. Let's just keep it moving. So let's keep it moving.
And can you take us back to how y'all even met in the first place? Did you write to her? How did y'all meet?
Yeah, so I saw her original documentary by Erin Lee Carr, Mommy Did and Dearest, and it was an unusual feeling I'd never really felt before, but after watching it, I just felt so much.
Side note, I am really enjoying the Penguin, and from this, from season 3 is like just fire. I love it.
Compassion and like a lot of sympathy for what she had gone through. It was such a unique and unreal situation and case. So I wrote her, I was 24 at the time. This is back in early 2017. And I wrote her just a letter of just saying, hey, listen, like I saw your story. I want you to know that people out here, myself, we support you. And I hope that you're doing all right. And wish you the best. And just wanted to, write you a letter and just let you know that you have supporters out here. And it was just like a one-off send. I didn't expect to hear back from her. And then I did. And then we just kind of started writing each other on the regular. Again, something that I've never done before or since then. Writing letters is so interesting. But I mean, we really, I mean, had a lot to talk about. We had a lot in common, a lot of interests, like-minded interests, things that were going on in our lives. I feel like it was really easy for me to just like let the walls down and just like tell her about my life as it was going, hear about how her life was going, and we established a great friendship just off of that.
Yeah.
And
And then 4
yeah, there
months
was
later.
And Gypsy Rose became obsessed. You were her new obsession, and bada boom, bada bang. Here we are in this love triangle.
It was torn.
I imagine, obviously, since you've been out, I think I heard you say something like the internet is like hell, or
It is.
It is. No, it is.
But get off of it,
You'll get
Gypsy
no argument
Rose.
from us, but obviously,
You
and-
love the internet. You make your money off the internet, which I am not against any person coming out of prison and making their money off the internet. There's this one podcast that on the Rec Yard, it's 2 women that were in a Texas prison together. Marcy Marie, I've showed their channel a few times here. Love them, and they're making money off the internet by doing their podcast. But like they have like they're talking about what it's like to be in prison and prison reform. They had Rosie O'Donnell come on. They were actually staying at Rosie O'Donnell's house in California. I don't know where Rosie was, but they were interviewing her from her house in California about the Menendez brothers. A side note, they did talk about this Gypsy Rose. It was when she first came out and they felt sorry for her. I'd be very interested to know how they think about her now.
Nellie and I do our best to stay off the internet and not read things about us. It can be far more easier said than done.
Mhm.
I imagine you guys try to stay off as well, but specifically, I guess, Ken, too. I mean, I'm sure you are aware of the criticisms when you got back. It's like, oh, of course, he's coming back now, things like that. How do you deal with that?
Considered covering the Menendez brothers and actually inviting Marcy Marie and Tunsi is the other person on the channel. So if you want the Menendez brothers, that's a perfect opportunity to meet, because I want to do more guests for you, more interviews. And so, yeah.
And, I guess, what would you say to, any of the critics who, still have Gypsy in mind and worried about Gypsy and want to see her kind of figure herself out and say, Ken, this is too soon. What are you doing? What would you say to that?
Well, the first part of that is, or the first part to your question is, as far as like the internet goes, like we do stay off of it too, like for the most part, or it's changed a lot over the last few months. I think in the beginning, I did want to go and like read comments a lot, and a part of me wanted to be defensive and, think that I could just clear the air and just like set the record straight, but that's just not really how the internet works.
Ken, how many times were you on Sir Morbid? And that was recently. Do these people not watch anything that Gypsy Rose and Ken do on the internet? Do they know Sir Morbid? I promise you, they know Sir Morbid. They know Nina. They know Becca Scoops. They know these people. Are they just willfully not watching them, or just willfully ignoring them? What do you think?
And I think I've learned,
you can never fight with
I've
the
learned that
internet.
lesson now. It's like once they've made up their mind, it's like truth doesn't even matter. It's irrelevant. Speculation and drama is where it's at.
Laura.
So I mean, I don't read the Reddit pages anymore, or the comments really anymore, or even respond to them. So I just kind of just focus on like the real world.
Liar, dirty, filthy liar! I just feel like I just want to scream, liar! But I'd be screaming it all day, all night, wouldn't I? If in this interview.
Like just our everyday life, and that's how I retain like my happiness and our happiness.
Very smart.
So once you guys got back together, how, when did things go from, all right, because, you came back in kind of as a friend. It seems like things move quickly because it's like the heart wants what the heart wants. But what conversation?
And I think I've learned,
you can never fight with the
learned that
internet.
lesson now. It's like once they've made up their mind, it's like truth doesn't even matter. It's
Did they
irrelevant.
cut some out of the interview because it just like skipped right forward?
Speculation and drama is where it's at. So I mean, I don't read the Reddit pages anymore, or the comments really anymore.
Conversation with my stepmom Christy, and she told me that after so many years,
we had already heard this, how they got back together.
Great. I mean, obviously, I think it's safe to say the pregnancy was unexpected and unplanned.
very much so.
Oh my God!
I did not expect.
Oh my gosh! How many? So it's just all lies, right? It's just like, is there one speckle morsel of truth? Because Ryan has said she was trying to get pregnant with him. She is a pregnancy trapper. She's a trapper keeper.
The pregnancy at all. I mean, obviously there was some physical symptoms that came about around that time, and then I had taken a test and it came back positive. I was very shocked. At first, I was looking at it and I ran into the living room and I'm like, Christy, what does this say? Because I wanted confirmation that
You weren't crazy.
I wasn't
Yeah.
crazy. So,
Yeah.
and then I FaceTimed with him and I told him, and how did you feel?
Yeah,
How was that?
Because I gotta say, my reaction.
Awful, terrible.
Terrible.
We'll never talk about it. We'll
Yeah.
never show the video. It's so bad.
Yeah. How was yours?
I mean, I was like getting ready for work. It was very shocking. I think my jaw just dropped. I was like, oh my God, like for real. Like, have you taken more than one test? Like, are we sure about
I
this?
took 2.
She took 2. So I think that just like this realization just hit me like, holy shit. Like, I'm sorry. I don't mean to
You can
swear.
say
but,
it,
like,
please.
but I was like, I can't believe it. Like, that's crazy. I mean, I think that like, I would agree with the sentiment that yes, it was very much too soon, but at the same time, like it's a child, it's a blessing. I mean, like I think I had like a whole cocktail of emotions in that moment. And I think I needed a minute to process. I mean, even after the initial shock, I was like,
you know what? You're an idiot for being with her. Like, I'm just so sick of these men. I am so sick of these men. Ugh. I'm sick of Gypsy Rose, and I'm sick of her men too.
let me call you back in like 10 minutes. I just need to like just walk around and like breathe for a minute and realize
Whatever.
like,
And look at her. Look at the look on this one's face. She loves when Ken talks about this stuff. She's like, yep, I tricked him and he's happy about it.
oh, this is happening.
Yeah, no,
but like not like in a negative way, you know, but just like,
and I do want to clarify.
Moving forward,
I have all these strong women.
Your sister. She
Yes, my
seems like a
sister.
very
She and she is she's graduating nursing school in December, and so she's specializing in labor and delivery.
Wow.
So
there
you know, I
go.
have a lot of these wonderful women figures in my life to help guide me. So if I have
and this is a way to get her sister back in her life, because I heard Mia was sick of her. So this is a good way to get her sister back in her life, right?
any questions, I can just go to.
How did it feel, Ken, when Gypsy came to you and said, you know, exactly what she said in terms of in what capacity she wanted you in her life?
Well, like going back to that moment of like when we realized we were pregnant, like for me, it was like, okay, well, it's time to buckle down now and get prepared to, or start to prepare to be a father. So at the time I was living in Dallas, I was living in a house. I had a full-time job that I had been at for over 2 years.
Laura Lynn, thank you for gifting the membership, and I just saw that Hollywood got it. So wonderful. Congratulations, Hollywood.
And I realized that, well, you know, it's time to move. You know, I need to be in Louisiana to be as close to her
Of course.
as possible, to get her, to, you know, so we can be together.
So
To get
she
this.
got him to move to Louisiana. She got pregnant. She got him to move to Louisiana. He's a slacker. Ken's a slacker. So Ken's not going to keep a job. So Gypsy's going to pay for him. And this is how she's going to keep him under whatever. But when they get married, which I'm sure they will, and Ken's not going to be as kind. He's going to take everything from her in the divorce if she doesn't have him sign something.
This process. You know, I don't want to just leave her alone
Ken's a
to
different breed.
handle a first-time pregnancy. I left my job. I had to break my lease, and I packed all my stuff, and I moved to New Orleans to start.
Can't you hear him say it? I left my job. I broke my lease. I left my family for you. It would be like just amazing if the child ended up to be Ryan's.
New life here, and I've been happy ever since. I mean, yeah, the parole is a little bit tricky, you know. So we like she said, we can't live together, and
You're, like, you're legally not allowed to.
legally not allowed to.
How long are you on parole for?
Until June of next year.
Okay.
Okay.
That's not
And
that
there's
bad.
no exceptions for the fact that you're having children together.
There's no exception for that.
What if you got, and not to add any
Yep.
pressure, but what if you got married?
Then we could.
Then we could.
Technically,
Then
we
we
could.
Okay.
Licia is the dragonfly of the month.
So
And I'm assuming those are conversations you guys deliberated over.
We talk about it for
Yeah.
sure. You
I
know?
have my own opinion about that, which I have shared.
Can you share with us?
I don't like having those conversations.
Okay.
Number one, I'm still going through the divorce, which will be finalized sometime this month.
Okay.
However, I'm not the type of person to say, okay, just because we're having a child means you have to marry me. I'm not the type of person to tell you how to live your life. Like, I don't want to be that person to say, you will marry me. You will, I will move in with you. He has his own life. And if he wants to marry me, he will propose. He will make his own decisions based on what he wants to do. So I don't put my input in.
Okay. So you moved to New Orleans. You got a new job. You
Mhm.
got a new place.
Mhm.
How is it being so
Um,
close to her?
It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, she's only an hour away, so we get to spend a lot of time together. And we get 2 days a week. She's allowed to stay at my house, and then the other 5 she's got to be back home.
Okay. Not bad.
So yeah, it's not too bad. And like I said, it's only an hour drive, so it's not that crazy. And I think the only part that I'm most worried about is in January when the baby's born. Obviously, we'll still have 5 months left of parole, so that's going to be really tricky co-parenting with this with these restrictions. But
Well, I will give you a little bit of encouragement there. Are you planning on breastfeeding?
I am.
Okay. I mean,
I'll
you
have all
can
the
help.
bottles.
You,
back
yeah,
over,
you can wash the bottles, you can wash the
Sure.
pumps, but
Yeah.
like for the first, 5 months, that's you and that baby are really you're
Connected.
just some extra hands.
I promise you, she will not breastfeed that baby for 5 months. She won't do it.
that can help, but Gypsy is really all that baby
There's going to be a reason why she can't do it. Watch.
really needs for the while. So
yeah, I mean, but at the same time, like I want to be there for her to get her
of
through
course,
those,
yeah, of course.
like, constant interruptions throughout the night, having to wake
Oh,
up, and like just she's being her being a first time mother. I mean, us being both first time parents.
Ken, you're going to be getting up because her being a first time mother, but her being Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her wanting to be the star of the show and her wanting to literally be the baby and the family to be taken care of. Yeah, you're going to have 2 kids now, my friend. 2 kids until you leave her.
I just want it to be. I like it.
Gypsy, we kind of watched you go back and forth with Ryan on social media.
Mhm.
At what point were you like, I'm done with this, I've got to stop?
I mean, honestly, I have been trying to have a very civil conversation with Ryan.
Anytime Gypsy says, I mean, honestly, that means her saying, I mean, I'm going to tell this lie and I'm going to expect you to believe it. So here we go.
About everything because we don't communicate often. And I think that I really just wanted to have that, closure, that one conversation that kind of closed everything up. And we had that. Unfortunately,
So
I feel
now
like
we've already watched this at the beginning, but we're going to watch this again. But this time I want you to pay careful attention to Kenny Boy over here.
I'm in a place of
And isn't it interesting that I'm sorry, I look at fashion. Isn't it interesting that Ken's wearing this outfit and he's got white socks on? Just interesting.
a higher healing and an elevated healing than he is right now. And so I've kept my distance, hoping that he could find that happiness and that healing for himself. What I want for him is to find his happiness in whatever form that is. And I encourage that. I have no ill will towards him at all. I wish
The foot is moving. He stops looking away. She's lying.
him the very best, but any communication right now is just not in the best interest of our healing
Really?
process.
Shut up,
It's got to be hard to get on
Gypsy.
social media and see someone you were married to
Mhm.
talking about your relationship to a bunch of strangers.
Is someone you are married to, somebody that you left for your boyfriend and got pregnant within weeks. Yeah, it must be really strange for Ryan to see all this bullshit. Isn't that what you mean to say, lady?
Like anything.
I like some things, but definitely I've gotten a lot more pickier in my pregnancy.
Well, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
it definitely changes the smell of stuff. You're like I
Yes,
don't like
my,
that.
my palate has changed a lot. But honestly, I just kind of love catching up on new shows and old shows. I still have a
Whatever. Let's not watch that. I don't care what Gypsy Rose is watching.
Yeah.
You got a new nose.
Mhm.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Was there any sort of underlying anxiety just from your trauma going into a facility and going under anesthesia and getting a surgery?
There was a little bit, not as much as people might think, because this was a surgery that I chose to have of my own free will. This is something that I had been wanting for a long time. I had been teased for my nose forever, and social media just made that even worse. I was called the nose. I was called all kinds of
No.
things.
Ugh.
So having the surgery was something that was going to boost my self-confidence and make me feel like the woman that I want to become. So having the surgery was the right thing for me.
Well, it looks
Yeah, it looks great.
so good.
Thank you. And I didn't want something super drastic. I just wanted the bump to be gone. And my surgeon did an amazing job.
Yeah.
It looks-
I hope I don't skip over if Ken leaves too, but I don't think that was just her favorite show, which was 90 Day Fiance.
It's
Looks really
very
good.
natural.
Thank
Yeah. What do I know? But it looks great. How were you in that process? Were you? I mean, obviously, I'm assuming you were supportive, but like, how did you handle was this more like whatever you want to do, Gypsy,
Yeah.
or did you feel compelled to be like, I love you whoever you are, like it's like
Don't change the
I see
nose.
a difference. I see that it doesn't look like a eagle nose, a hawk nose anymore. That hawk nose is gone. It's still a big nose, but I mean, I've got a kind of a big nose too. Well, I don't know. I don't have a big nose, but it's still kind of like big, but she said it's still swollen.
I mean, the reality is, like, I mean, when I fell in love with her, she had the brown hair, the long brown hair. She had the previous nose. She had the silvers, so like it didn't change the way I feel about her at all, and I knew that she had wanted this procedure from even back when we knew each other, in the early days. So I was very supportive. I was like, well, now you can finally go do what you want. And
another reason I don't believe that it's pillow talk, because look at the way she tears and licks apart her lips. There's no way any lip liner or anything's going to stay on those lips.
Makes you happier, then of course I support you. So yeah.
We have a long history of teasing each other about noses because, I mean,
Now I have
your
the nose.
nose isn't exactly small.
we
strong nose.
We joke about our daughter might have a strong nose, bless her heart.
Because you could have the surgery, but the genetics are still there.
Right,
so.
exactly.
Well,
100%.
She'll figure it out.
Daughter's going to have a nose.
Sundays is fresh food made from a short.
Her schnoz is going to be bigger than Gypsy's when she tells lies. Just kidding. No, I hope the kid doesn't have to go through that, but I mean, the kid's going to have to go through that.
Let's talk Kardashians.
Oh boy.
That must have been exciting.
It was exciting. Kim was really
I mean, he is hitting on all the fluffy stuff that he can possibly. Let's talk about the Kardashians. That must have been exciting to see them before they go to prison with Diddy. That's exciting.
nice. I actually have never watched the Kardashians.
Wow.
So going on the show, the producer got a big kick out of the fact that I had never watched the show before.
Have you watched since? Have you been like, let me just
My
look at it?
episode?
Yeah, well, obviously.
I don't got time for that.
Yeah, I know.
But you were familiar, obviously, with the Kardashians.
Yeah,
right?
I was like, I knew Kim was very influential. I knew that she, has the show The Kardashians. She has Skims, and I knew that she was very into prison reform. And I said, she has sisters, right? Yeah, she has a couple of sisters. That's about what I know about Kim.
She's got some sisters. Chloe, Courtney, they're shaking.
Yeah, they're fighting right now because
Kylie,
of this. Yeah.
That's funny. Well, Skims has a great maternity line. So
Ooh,
some
nice.
nursing
Look
bras
it up,
and
Kim.
stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
look it up, Kim.
Have you kept in touch with them at all?
I've kept in touch with her producer.
Okay.
And I've also I have posted our selfies that we had taken, and Kim had liked them on my social media. I have DM'd her a couple times on Instagram. So it's kind of we've had minimal, contact, but I know that is always a line that is open.
That's very cool. Yeah. And have there been any other cool celebrity interactions? Have other people reached out that have surprised you?
No, it's been pretty tame for right now. Because I got off of social.
No, she says in shocked. I mean, she's truly shocked that she'll say well, I'm too controversial. No, nobody's reached out to me, but I mean, I've got this expensive PR. She did get that thing. I'm my eyes are twitching because I'm talking about Gypsy Rose. She pisses me off. It makes me so mad that a college took her and paid her supposedly $20,000, flew her out there. This is all my opinion, by the way, alleged, my research, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I have to say that in case she decides to come after me.
Social media for a little while.
Yeah, you deleted your Instagram.
I did.
Not even my
turned
it off.
No,
Just,
yes.
so can you talk about-
Did not delete it. She didn't. Unless she just did it recently. She didn't delete any of her social media. She just put them on. You can do where you just pull it back, it disappears, you don't delete it. She brought it right back 2 weeks later.
why, what made you do that?
Yeah, so after I'm gonna say February, I'm just
we're not even, is this where she says if she leaves Ken? Now I'm afraid to miss that part. But all right, let's listen
person. I'm not a celebrity, and so my reactions to things are
I just hate when she starts talking about this. I'm just a country girl. I don't know anything. I'm just Gypsy Rose. You gotta believe that. I'm just a cool girl who knows nothing, and I'm just like you. Even though I killed my mother.
If it becomes overwhelming, just get rid of it, delete it. So I became overwhelmed, and I'm like, I don't do this anymore. And so I deleted an Instagram with 8 million followers.
Yeah. didn't just turn it off. You
No,
just
I just
deleted
deleted it. And I had set my TikTok with like another like 7 million followers to be deleted as well. And then I changed my mind and I like only deactivated it. So a couple months later, I reactivated it.
You know, I was thinking about it because it was like at first you were like, holy shit, Gypsy deleted her
Mhm.
8 million
Whatever.
Instagram account.
I don't think she's going to talk about Ken leaving her, so I can't listen to it. I can't, like, some lies I just can't listen to because it's just so like factually factual. Like you could just like, took you 2 seconds to realize that she didn't anyway.
And he was like, okay, well, congratulations. I'm happy for you.
Okay.
And I'm like, because I mean, that was the forefront of my mind. I kept going back to that one thing that he said, and he said it so randomly. I have no idea
It was
like
so random.
where it came from. Before that, he's like, I'm going to talk to you and Ken together. And, I'm not going to tell you what it's about, but I'm going to talk to y'all together. And I was like already kind of feeling something was going to come up. But I did not expect that.
Yeah.
She thinks it's super cute that her dad said that and super funny that she got pregnant anyway because she did it by accident. It was an accidental pregnancy.
Neither. I think we all were like, whoa, okay.
Did you get the talk, Ken?
I did, yeah. I mean, you guys saw it on TV. Like that was like unedited at the end. Like that was like, she was just like, she wants a baby. Just be careful, And I was listening. I was like, yeah, of course, yeah. We don't, that would be way too soon right now. We're just reconnecting.
And we agreed about that. Like,
Yeah,
we
totally
were
agreed,
totally agreeable.
and I was sincere about it. But life happens, and didn't expect it. But once I heard the news, I was I'm ready for it, or I'm excited for it. I mean, yes, of course. Was it fast? For sure, but I'm still excited. I'm so happy about it.
Good.
What are you most excited about in terms of being a mom?
Honestly, I'm most excited about sharing things with my daughter that like I didn't get to do. So it's like all those little milestone moments. I'm so excited for. Even now in my pregnancy, I'm like I always look at the apps. I'm like, okay, she's as big as.
Super excited that I get to now scam with my daughter and use her in my scams. I'm so excited about that.
The grapefruit or something,
Yeah, now I did that all the time.
It's so
It's
fun.
so
She's
much
grapes
fun.
right now.
Yeah, it's a whole
great.
bunch of
Concord
grapes.
I never really understood that.
I
Joke,
don't
by the
either.
way. I was like, what do you mean a grape?
So much fun when you scam with your daughter. It's going to be precious.
When I saw a banana, I was like,
Yeah, like I thought we were an apple last week. I don't know.
Yeah. They grow weird.
Yeah, it's different. The apps are different, but it's kind of like all of those little things that I wish I could have had growing up. I want to give to my daughter.
I think you even mentioned last time we talked when you were just speculating about the possibility of one day being a mom. But obviously, at some point, you will have to have a conversation with your daughter. You're a long way away from that,
Right.
obviously. What thoughts have you put into that? And do you have a plan of how you might address your past with your daughter?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that was something that's been on the forefront of my mind even before I got pregnant. Is that conversation is going to come up someday, and how do I want to address that? How do I want to handle that? And I feel like when she is of the right age to understand, we are going to sit her down together. And also with my dad and Christy, we have that support there, and we're going to explain things in a way that's not overwhelming, but enough to where she understands where my life was at that time and how did I get there? Because obviously I didn't get there overnight. So with that being said, with love and care and consideration, I mean, we have a long time to prepare for that, to know what words need to be said. But also, that's why it was so important for me to also write my story in a memoir, because she could read it for herself and see
She's
that.
going to get her book in there. It was so important for somebody else to write her story in a memoir. Hey, Philip over on Facebook. Thank you so much for giving me a thumbs up. If you're over on Facebook, be sure to give me a thumbs up. If you're on YouTube, give me a thumbs up. And if you're over on Twitch, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whichever.
I'm not this monster. I'm not the person
are
that
a
they say on
monster.
social media.
When I think of the definition of monster, when I think of true crime, Gypsy Rose, you are at the top of my list.
I'm not any of those things. My memoir is
You're 100% all of these things and more. You're worse than these things because you're denying these things. Anyway.
Form of my soul and everything that I had been through.
I hope
so
your soul suffers tremendously for this. I really do.
I am taking all of these steps to make sure that she has every source of information she needs from the right places.
Yeah, I was going to ask if she wants to watch any of these shows or documentaries. Is that like why don't you just read my book?
Yeah,
first?
I mean, I fully encourage looking at someone's life in the most truest form. So I'm in support of documentaries. So if she wants to watch my documentaries,
Yeah.
I'll let her when she's old enough.
Right.
And reading my book. And talking to us. Like, I'm an open book. He's an open book. Any questions that she has, we want her to feel comfortable to ask us.
Is there any part of you that thinks about the relationship your mom would have with her?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it is heartbreaking because
You could tell that these are so rehearsed. She knew the questions were coming.
From time to time, think about what could have been. And it makes me sad. So I kind of put that in the back.
Gypsy Rose probably gave them talking points. I've had guests on the show that have just sent me talking points, and they're like, I don't want you to go off the talking points. Of course, I go off the talking points, but from time to time. But I've had interviews where, and I never asked them on the show again because I'm like, nope, not going to do that.
Back of my mind. And so, I mean, there has been questions on social media. Everybody asks the question, what are you going to tell your daughter whenever grandma isn't around?
I mean, talking points are useful, but they should be just points that if the person wants to choose from. But of course, Gypsy Rose, her PR team, yeah. Okay, so I'm told that I missed something at, what was it, 23:25? What was it? Jaw-dropping, shocking. Let's see what that is.
To make him feel like he is stuck with me. That is not what I want. I'm like, if
this is where she talks about Ken. Okay, let's see.
That couples usually have, well into a year of their relationship, and here we are a month in, and we're already pregnant. So, those were really serious conversations we needed to have. And also, I never wanted to make him feel like he is stuck with me. That is not what I want. I'm like, if, I want you to be with me because you are happy in this relationship. You want this relationship. Just because we have a child together does not mean you're obligated to stay with me. There are lots of options for us. If you don't want this child, I will be the mother. That is my responsibility. That's your choice. If you want to show up.
To the critics who struggle with you having a daughter, what is your response to that? Like, what, do you say you aren't ready, or say, whatever? I'm sure they have a long list. What is your response to them?
I mean, finding out that I'm going to be a new mother, that is not something that I don't think anybody could honestly say I am ready for. Maybe few are, but when it happens, you're kind of like, gosh, am I really ready for this right now? I don't have concerns of any kind that my trauma from the past will affect my ability to parent.
Okay.
I have a lot of great women in my life.
Amazing that she has no concerns, that she's going to be able to, but because you know what, Gypsy Rose, you have no concerns because your mother didn't do to you what you say she did. So you have no concerns. Plus you're a narcissist, and you just have no feelings anyway.
The Northern Lights, and another name for the Northern Lights is the Aurora Borealis.
I feel like you gotta go with Aurora.
So that was like a connect.
Christy's dog's name?
Now she's talking.
Oh.
That's fine.
The way that I chose River for our daughter was it's a very common name.
Sorry,
I heard, but if someone's projecting some pain from their parent they haven't addressed, they just want to put that on you.
Put that somewhere else.
I feel like last time you were with us, you gave us a name for like a potential baby.
Oh, really?
Did I?
What was that name?
I don't even remember.
I don't remember the name either.
I feel like Ken gave that name at the airport.
And picked
Do
out.
we have a name?
We have a couple of names that are in mind, but we haven't set.
You want to workshop them?
Listen,
not giving them out because that would make her lose money. Like, look what happened with the gender reveal. They all knew the gender of the baby, but she had the gender reveal for clicks and views. She put that baby out there for clicks and views, which she's not going to do once it's born, you guys. She's not going to do it.
If I can give you one piece of advice, it is do not share your name with anyone, because people they're like, oh, I went to high school with someone named that and they sucked and they're awful. And you're like,
they project all that.
A little too late for that one. We've already kind of shared the name ideas.
Yeah.
We've done all that too.
Okay, yeah,
Like one of the names that we love and have potentially chosen is Aurora. And
beautiful.
Love that name.
It's a beautiful name. That was something that we had talked about way back 6-7 years ago when we first met about potential son daughter names.
Gypsy didn't like that he said that name. Did you see the look on her face? Can you see the look on her face?
You like, and Aurora was one that we both mutually connected
She's
over. But that's also Chris.
She for the first time has moved the microphone to her. That if she had her clutches around his arm or his hand, she would be squeezing him for dear life.
His dog's name, so
that's fine. The way that I chose River for our daughter was it's a very common name in the South for boys. Rivers is very common, and I saw a TikTok of someone being like, I'm from Georgia, and here's my dog. It's River, and I was like, love, beautiful.
It's a great name.
It's a great name.
Hot take. And when it comes to baby names, I think people are a little too precious about it. It's like, yeah,
does
you want
anybody care about this really? I mean, do you care? I don't care.
your kid to have a unique name. And then when River was born, we found out, like my buddy had a son like 2 months before, named his son River. It turns out it's a popular name. And honestly, I was like, I was glad. You don't want your kid to have to repeat their name their entire life because you chose to want it to be so unique. You know, it's like, Ken, great. I can remember that. You know, Gypsy, great.
It's a little different.
Gypsy's unique, but it's unique, but it's not like hard to say. Where it's like, what? Huh? What is that? Like, I think sometimes people go a little too overboard with unique names, and it's. I think even if you name your kid Aurora and it happens to be Christy's dog's name, like that's totally fine. If you like the name,
well, that's not even like.
I used to feel that way, but I think that's a very very centric way to think, because there are other countries and other places that have names that are very like normal to that country, but for where you live, Nick, it might be like eccentric with quotation marks. So you need to realize that American names are not normal names. They're just American names.
That's not even where like it came from or anything. Because like back when how that particular name came about is whenever we were dating the first time, of course, we wrote letters a lot. And we had those conversations of like, okay, you know, if we have kids someday, what will we name our kids? Aurora, I sent him a letter with Aurora, and then he sent me a letter with Aurora that same week, but we didn't get it until like the next week. And how we came up with Aurora is
100% they have chosen Aurora, because now Gypsy has this huge story behind it that she said that she liked the name. He said he liked it, but you know, the letters were two ships in the night and I hadn't gotten it and he hadn't gotten it. And oh my gosh.
It's because we both love the Northern Lights, and another name for the Northern Lights is the Aurora Borealis.
I feel like you gotta go with Aurora.
So that was like a connection thing. I'm like,
whatever. We're moving forward. I can't listen to this anymore.
I'm like, I don't want anyone seeing
her
that.
cousin, they recently had a baby, and he caught him.
Right.
Now that you've had about 9 months of being out of prison and kind of seeing the world, and then you got pregnant, and then you're also still on parole, so you're still limited in a little bit of your freedom. But what are some things that you haven't yet been able to do since being released that you're still very excited about doing?
You know, honestly, travel.
Okay.
Like traveling abroad. So, you know, right now, it's one of those things that I can only go out of state.
So Gypsy Rose plans to take her Liar Liar Pants on Fire tour to Europe for sure.
So many times a year. So, and now I'm pregnant. So even more restrictions. But, you know, once we have the baby and, you know, once I'm off parole, you know, I really want to go to Europe, to Rome and start traveling, you know, see some things. But so far, you know, we're trying to make like the most out of the little travel spots that we're going to. So we just came in from San Francisco. And so we were able to see the Golden Gate Bridge. That's awesome. So yeah, so try to do what I can.
What are you most excited to show, Gypsy?
Well, I just like, I focus on these like short-term experiences like that lie ahead. So, I mean, I've really enjoyed having a lot of first-time experiences with her. Like I took her to Taco Bell for the first time in her life, which is just so surreal to think about. Like you've never had Taco Bell in your entire life.
I can't stand it. I can't stand all these firsts that she's doing. I can't stand it. I just can't make it stop.
Ordered one of everything and just had a whole spread, and we just tried to bite of each.
What was your favorite?
I think the quesadillas.
Okay.
Yeah, that was her favorite, and then I think it was Crunch Wrap was her second. And we didn't finish anything; we just had like a bite of each. And then, but
I think this is one of the reasons Ken stays with her, because I did notice in the airport video, and you know, she's talking about the frog and he's so disgusted by her. And why would you pay extra for a frog? And why would you think that you could find a frog in the airport? And then as he's thinking about it, he's like intrigued. She says these things that intrigue him. And now he's like, I want to see now if we can find a frog, because I think he likes unusual, interesting things. And so Gypsy Rose just pulls this shit up and, you know, it pisses him off, drives him crazy. But then there's also this point that he's intrigued by stuff. He wants, I thought that maybe that might, when that came to my mind when I watched the airport thing, and he had that sudden, like, he was disgusted, but then in the next instant, he's like, well, now I want to see if we can find a frog, right? So you get what you get, Ken.
But no, I mean, I'm really excited for Halloween. We're just going to pass out candy, I think.
We're not going to dress up this year.
Oh, we're going to dress up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's going to be Forrest Gump, and I'm going to be Jenny.
That was filmed in Savannah. Have you been to Savannah yet?
No, not yet.
I truly hope that she's broke because Ken takes all her money.
You would love. That's
Not too
where
far
I'm
from you.
Yeah.
That's where we got married.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Lovely.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
She's from there. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll do that, and then Thanksgiving we're going to be traveling to Florida to my dad's house, and hopefully her mom and dad can come, and we can make it like a big event. And she's never had like
Her mom and dad. He says that you know that Gypsy now is trying to change the narrative that now Christy is her mom, and I can't wait until Christy takes that baby from her, or Ken, or Ryan. Someone's taking the baby from Gypsy.
like a full spread Thanksgiving before, so that'll be exciting. Just
It's also-
just share
She's
that.
never had a full spread Thanksgiving. That's another thing Gypsy Rose has never had.
With her.
I was pregnant Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
It's the best. It's the best. Food's so good. You can seconds, thirds, leftovers.
Love
That was
it.
like the best time to be pregnant.
Love it.
Yeah.
And then you have Christmas
And
coming
then
up.
Yeah,
Yes.
Christmas.
And
was
this will
fun.
be your first Christmas?
This will be my first Christmas because I got out on December 28th,
Right after
Right
Christmas,
right
yeah.
after Christmas. So this is my first Christmas home.
Big plans?
Honestly, because my parents they have their own like version of their Christmas. Sometimes they do like a whole get together with the entire family a week before. So I'm not really sure if they're going to do that this year, kind of depending on my dad's work schedule. But I do want to do something with the whole family, and we were talking about maybe us hosting it. So
Okay.
Have you met everyone on your dad's side of the family?
I have now because we had a huge Blanchard family reunion.
Huge. I
Whoa,
didn't
really?
realize how many people could be on one side of the
I
family.
know.
So I
Really?
thought it was Ken's family reunion when the whole stupid kayak thing happened, but apparently it was Rod's.
So I got to meet a lot of cousins. I got to meet so many people that I never knew existed.
Any favorites?
She's
She's like, I hated my great aunt. That's awful.
Do you cook now?
I cook a little.
Okay.
So I've been, learning how to cook via cook.
I cook spaghetti and I put my menstrual blood in places so that we covered that. If you want to know, I think that was on a Sunday.
books. I've cooked a spaghetti so far. I've cooked I think it was like this sort of taco soup thing. And so I cooked him my spaghetti.
You can hide some stuff in that too.
So you can ask him if it tastes all right.
It was great.
Was
It's
it?
fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can watch it on YouTube, actually. You can watch
Yeah,
my
and I
whole
put it on
reaction.
YouTube.
There we go.
Great.
What are your hobbies these days?
Hobbies have been sleeping. But no, seriously. Honestly, I
Those
tried to
have been
get
her hobbies her whole life, sleeping and taking money from people and going on adventures on other people's dimes. Unaliving my mother, planning the unaliving of my mother, going on this Liar Liar Pants on Fire tour, and trashing my mother's memory. Those are my hobbies.
and I'm trying to do more like influencer videos on social media, fashion, because when I first came out of prison, apparently I was very not on fashionable.
Oh no.
Like the
internet
outfits
said
that I wore and
Oh,
stuff like that. Like I
no.
had friends to let me know what was trendy, but as for everyday things, I am so far behind. So now I've been sort of Googling and trying to figure out and follow the trendy stuff, and make cute little makeup videos and tutorials and stuff.
Fun. Has it been like crazy learning all the makeup that's out there, learning how to like do your own
I just don't care about. Oh, is she going to talk about the pillow talk?
makeup? The
Yeah,
glam?
I had to learn that, you have to find what's right for you.
Yeah.
So I bought a lot of makeup and have gone through a lot of brands. But
Yeah, I just bought a lot of makeup, and I heard Christy say that she buys something and wears it once or doesn't even wear it and throws it in the trash. She don't care. Like, she doesn't give it away. She throws it in the trash. She don't care.
finally found the right one for me. So
It's so funny. Alexis is actually, she's a good friend of mine. She's done my glam several times, and I saw she does
yeah,
yours
Alexis
too.
is amazing.
Yeah,
she's
she's really
wonderful.
sweet.
She
She's
came
taught
to
you-
our
Oh, I
gender
love
reveal.
Alexis.
Oh, yeah, I
Alexis.
saw that. Fun. Okay. Has she taught you? Has she been like, here's some tips? Ken, have you watched I know you said you watched.
No, I didn't watch The Act.
Okay.
I felt the same way. Like I had seen the original documentary. I had seen multiple other like subsidiary documentaries when we first met. And then by the time The Act came out, like every time I would watch like the newer
I mean, The Act now she's much more kinder towards because it does follow her narrative pretty closely.
documentaries, it's traumatizing for even me to watch. Like
Sure.
it's a very sad, traumatic story. So I didn't want to see it again and again and again.
It makes you different when you know someone.
Right.
When you're
Yeah.
watching there.
And then not to mention like, not that I'm knocking the show at all. I'm sure it was, I'm sure it was fine. I didn't see it, but like, it was dramatized for TV
Right.
versus where like documentaries are more in depth. So I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it's one thing for a story to be made for TV and then have it not be totally accurate, but when it's about you, the inaccuracies I'm sure can be far more sensitive. You know, you want it to be very accurate, and if they take liberties, that I can see how that can be a very triggering.
Because no one can know your life but you
and
to
it's
the
just like,
fullest
wait, it didn't happen
extent.
that way.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's been married, or she's known Ryan for at least 2 or 3 years, and Ken was her boyfriend before Ryan. So I'd say they've known each other like 4 or 5 years.
And then even though when we watch the stuff, we know it's like, based off a true story. We watch it as if it's almost a documentary sometimes. And that
Exactly.
can be very frustrating. I can only imagine. How are you guys in terms of when you do face challenges, when stress, happens, being pregnant? How are you guys, other than obviously couples therapy, but how are you?
I say I'm pregnant and I can't take it. And he lets me do whatever I want because she blames it on the pregnancy. And then she's going to blame it on the postpartum. And then she's going to blame it on the baby driving her crazy.
Guys handling that stress, and how do you guys make sure that
She's going to blame it on mom brain?
No, you're still going through a honeymoon phase, that you are still staying connected and working through whatever issues you guys might have?
I mean, for me, it's communication. And so like, I really, really try to push hard for, checking on your partner. I check in all the time, and it might seem bothersome sometimes, but I'm kind of like, are you okay? Like, do we need to talk about something that we read on social media?
Checks in all the time, and that may seem bothersome. Blink, blink, blink. Gypsy Rose, that's being an abuser. That's what abusers do.
Media or whatever, keeping that level of communication open is so important. And that's something that, my dad told me a long time ago, is
That's
communication is key, and
jealousy.
it's so, so true. But I think, during the pregnancy, he and I have done this one particular thing where it's like, we kind of withhold a little bit because it's like, I am going through a pregnancy and he doesn't want to put more stress on me. I don't want to put more stress on him because the move was so new to him. He's moved to a new area. So it's like, we have these outside stresses coming in. How do we handle that? And so, like I said, it's good to at least say, hey,
he's probably racking up the dough, and I think he's also racking up the issues, the things that she does, and just like putting those away. Just like I've mentioned this person before, and not all of you know who that is, but just like Trisha Paytas, she's married Moses, who people call her assistant, which, I mean, anybody who marries Gypsy becomes her assistant, right? I mean, Trisha Paytas and Gypsy Rose, they remind me of each other quite a bit. Trisha Paytas is hypersexual. She was an OnlyFans person. She's like gone from community to community and identified as being DID, being trans, and just like going into those communities and trashing them and destroying them, and then just moving on to the next community. And I could see Gypsy being that person, but people say the same thing about Trisha, is that Moses is just racking up the incidences, probably writing them down so that, I mean, when it's over, he can take now I think she's on baby number 2. I mean, Gypsy Rose and him could very well have more than one children before it's all over.
You okay? And hopefully he feels comfortable enough opening up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that figuring out and handling stress even today is still evolving for us. Sometimes I do have a habit of internalizing stress or emotions, or I just try to dismiss them or pretend they're not there, which isn't healthy. And but I think that, like she said, like the communication part is the most important, and we find ways to increase that communication and be more comfortable with it. And even if we don't want to talk about something, we get through it. And
I could
it's
see
the couples therapy
Gypsy
is
going to OnlyFans after her money starts to run out and dry up and this influencer thing doesn't take off. I could see her becoming an OnlyFans person or one of those type of things.
helped for sure communicate a lot that we internalized. But like I said, yeah, it's still
I
evolving.
actually
Are
have
you guys-
nothing against people that do OnlyFans responsibly and, you know, is an adult and wants to do whatever they want to do. But I mean, Gypsy Rose is a schmurderer. Gypsy Rose shouldn't be allowed to do all of this stuff. I was saying that I think responsibly people that are felons should be allowed on the internet, but there should like maybe, I don't know, like there should be some kind of restrictions on this girl, on her.
Guys
At least
getting
while she's on probation.
recognized in public pretty often?
You know I am.
Yeah, since
She
you're
is, for
bartending,
sure.
are people
It's happened a few times at where I work, but very, very like seldom.
okay?
And even the few times that it has, they'll come up and they'll say like, "Hi, like congratulations," and they're very nice. And I will say that about even with her, like everyone that we've ever met in person has always been the nicest, sweetest. You know, it's always been a very pleasant interaction.
That's usually how it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the negative is strictly online. Like we
And
never
even the people who do say negative things, if they were to meet you, it would be very much
the opposite, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
The internet's like
I
the Matrix,
wonder.
it's not
I wonder
real.
sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's-
I mean, yesterday she spoke at San Francisco State, and the entire auditorium, like standing ovation, cheering, clapping, like chanting her
Wow.
name. Like everyone just wanted to come and say hi. They were so sweet, so loving, and
They were
that's like the real that like I want us to focus on them on more. Is like people that we interact with in real life. You know, generally are very nice people and do wish her the best. And so I'm thankful for that.
How was that public speaking?
It was very new. It was wonderful. It was so good to actually
It was very new. You used to do that with your mom. You're a seasoned pro. I can't say what I want to say.
share my thoughts about prison reform and advocacy because in so many ways when
Prison
you're
reform
doing
and advocacy. What are you doing for prison reform and advocacy? You're doing nothing. You're doing nothing. You're going on these shows and doing lip service. I cannot wait for her to be taken down. I can't.
an interview for this or for that or for this Today Show, whatever, their line of questioning is what they want it to be.
Mhm.
So at least for this, the line of questioning was for a very specific reason. And it's more on the side of advocacy and global acknowledgement that, our justice system is flawed. It's not fair. So we need to start having those conversations and talking about them.
Okay, Laura Lynn, thank you for stopping by and being one of my best mods. I've got 3 and they're all the best, but thank you, Laura Lynn. I'm sorry about the ads. I think it's because it's Gypsy Rose. I went in and I turned them down to the lowest they could go. So I think it's Gypsy Rose.
Those things.
I mean, I'm blaming the ads on Gypsy Rose, but I really do think it's Gypsy Rose because if my views are way down because I haven't been covering Gypsy Rose and the Watts case. And so those are my 2 popular cases. And so the ads get, I guess YouTube runs more ads. I get more, I think they're called CPRs, clicks per something with Gypsy Rose and Watts stuff, which means I make more money. So YouTube does this.
Have you kind of immerse yourself into, Gypsy's passions when it comes to the advocacy that she wants to do?
Yeah, no, I fully support it. And I think that yesterday was like a really big step for her on her quest for advocacy. And I think that it couldn't have gone better. It was an amazing experience. And I'm there for her going forward. I think she's going to do great. I think that once she's off parole, then it's limitless at that point. And there's like a lot more options open up. But yeah, I'm fully supportive, and I know that she's going to do amazing.
All right. So time for texting office hours. Last time, Gypsy, when you were here,
Yay.
there was a caller who needed some relationship advice. We have someone calling in with a new problem, someone new. And
Somebody really is going to ask Gypsy Rose for advice. Oh, God. Sometimes when I cover Gypsy Rose, it's really hard to like the world because somebody's literally going to ask her for advice. Somebody's going to ask a woman who planned, plotted, and carried out the murder of her mother advice. All right.
we're just going to offer some advice as friends, just like we did last time.
Good Americans Always Fits jeans are a total game changer, whether it's a big lunch, a few drinks with friends, or
How's it going?
Good. My name is Allison. I'm 25, and I had a baby with my best friend, and now I'm trying to figure out what to do.
Okay. Tell us more about having a baby with your best friend. I mean, usually that would be a good thing, but what's the problem, I guess?
Yes. So we were very good friends. I knew him for a couple years, and then for about a year, we were like best friends. We would do everything together. Like, we always wanted to be around each other. He would even stay over at like my apartment. Sometimes would sleep on the couch. He would never try anything, was never flirty. And that was it. Like, we were just best friends. Never even really like thought about anything more. And then eventually I just kind of started to ask myself, like, why wasn't I considering him as more? Because I had so much fun with him and we laughed all the time. But really what was just holding me back was that like physical attraction. But eventually we decided to like give it a try, and then ended up getting pregnant the first time we had sex. So.
Okay. And are you guys, so where are you two now? Are you still just friends? Or are you not sure if you should be in a romantic relationship?
So we were together for almost 3 years and separated like 2.5 months ago. Our daughter is 2. So this is very recent, but I was just kind of struggling over the past year a lot and voicing that to him. And, you know, we were trying to work through things. I got us both into therapy, and we were having a lot of conversations just about how I wasn't very happy. And I just really didn't see any change at all. And so ultimately I decided to, you know, end things. But it just definitely has not been easy.
So right now, is your biggest struggle just trying to figure out how to navigate having a child with ultimately is your ex now?
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge?
Trying to just figure out if I made the right decision, really. It's just been hard because I just go back and forth so much with if I should just try to make this work. Because
how would Gypsy Rose be the right person to ask this question, considering she didn't try to make it work with Ryan?
We can have such a great friendship, but for me personally, like the romantic side of things and the chemistry just like isn't there for me. And so, but like having a child with someone and having your family together is just so important. So I don't know if I should just like push through and try to make it work or be selfish. But I just have a lot of guilt when it comes to being selfish in that way because of my daughter.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. And I think that's very relatable, but I think it's okay to still prioritize yourself at times. I mean, I don't think having a kid means that you have to give up.
He's giving the advice, not
your own happiness. And if you guys worked through it and tried, I think it's normal to have the feelings that you're having, but I don't think it's, having a kid doesn't mean you have to be with someone that you're not in love with.
Do you feel like there's a world in which you can get back to the best friend, having so much fun together, being in each other's lives, but not having any romantic?
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like that's possible again?
That's actually a good point. I don't think you should be allowed to be online if you plotted and planned the crime online. That's a great point.
The co-parenting that we've been doing over the past couple months has honestly gone amazing. Like it's so great. I've seen him happier than I've seen him in a long time. And so seeing him like smile and laugh has been great, but then it kind of like, it makes me sad because I'm not doing that well. But I think that like our co-parenting relationship has been amazing. And if we could keep it at that, then, and I think we can.
Dip Jip answer this question at all, or is it all him?
Pressure yourself and set false deadlines that don't exist. They're of what you think you're not giving her, but it's like you see it and you see mom and dad and like you too much of your relationship. There's also kind of a fairy tale family dynamic that you're applying too much pressure.
Society's perfect view.
What she says.
Yourself. And I don't think you should have any guilt in looking for that. You deserve it.
Yeah.
And it's only been 2 months, right?
Yeah. Almost 3.
Yeah.
But I just was hoping that I would maybe it's not even that long of a time, but I was hoping that maybe I would feel, leaning towards more like one way more than the other, or just have some more clarity on the situation. But it's honestly just like kind of gotten a little bit more confusing. But
again, I feel like your confusion is coming from the pressure you're applying to your situation. Like you have decided what you think you should do or what is expected of you. Try to remove all that. There's a million different ways to be a parent. There's a million different ways to be in a relationship. There's no perfect way.
What is his credentials to make him the person to call in to get this type of advice?
Everyone has an opinion. So try to remove about what you think is expected of you and just ask yourself, like, what makes me happy?
Mm-hmm.
Try that. And then give yourself permission to say that's okay to do. As long as you're taking care of your daughter, you are allowed to do things for yourself. And I'm getting the impression you haven't done much of that lately. I'm getting the impression everything you're doing is based on what you think you should do, what other people think you should do, et cetera, et cetera. And I can see why that gets very confusing, but just start doing what you want. And maybe, maybe that will give you the answer.
And maybe try and rip apart that, society's perfect view of what a family dynamic is. Like Nick was saying, every family dynamic is different. And so try to find a way to create your own best version of what your best family looks like in your mind and in respect to your relationship too. So try to find a way of, if you can just sit there and imagine your ideal version of your life, it does not have to be that white picket fence. Everything has to be this cookie cutter way.
See, you have the knight in shining armor mentality. Who are you? You want the white picket fence. Ugh.
Create your own.
I think what matters more is your daughter having two incredibly happy, loving parents who enjoy being in the same room together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because since we've been co-parenting,
all right.
I can't help but wonder, Gypsy, if you've been through so much, you're doing all the work in terms of therapy. Do you enjoy offering perspective and advice, through your experiences that you had? Because that's what we do. We're not obviously not therapists or anything like that. We're just we made a bunch of mistakes in life and we're just trying to share. But do you enjoy that?
Oh, absolutely. I have gone through some experiences with relationships. Maybe not a whole lot.
Absolutely. Haven't you heard? I'm an influencer.
But from what I have gathered, the relationships didn't last forever or a very long time, but I was able to at least pull experience from it and kind of learn from that.
Yeah.
So with, obviously she had a lot going on in her situation, but I do relate to, and I've been there.
Yeah.
She was able to pull from the situations, and her lies she was able to get them bigger and better and more refined. Amen. Amen. Okay, guys. That was the Viall Files. Her second. Ken is constipated. Yeah, her second. I just think Nick is disgusting after watching that. He asked her nothing of nothing. Even asking about the mother was nothing. It was just. But I mean, I didn't expect it and anything more. And she's gotten better, more refined with her interviewing. Her voice isn't so high up. She's got her influencer voice on. And yeah, much to what I don't want to say, but Gypsy's getting badder, bigger and badder. She's bigger and better and badder. So give her enough rope and we can only hope what she'll do with it is hang herself. Not literally though. But trip herself up, get her caught in those lies. We have to keep it. We have to keep up. We can't let Gypsy Rose's narrative continue to go out there unchecked. So at Parawomenradio, we're committed to just continuing to put these Gypsy Rose videos out there. Probably not as many, but when she does these shenanigans, we can't ignore it because we've got to let the world know the true story, or actually tell the other story and then let the world decide. There's always going to be people that are going to like Gypsy Rose. That's just people by nature sometimes want to like the villains. They like the villains. So, and somebody once asked me, there was this channel coming after me and he had sent his subscribers, and someone said, what's wrong with these people? And I'm like, well, I mean, they're not a good person, so they have to be attracting other not good people. And so that's just the way the world is. And so I just keep having to tell myself that's just the way the world is. And there's plenty of good stuff out there that we have to continue to focus on, but we also have to focus on this stuff. Okay, guys. I'm gonna go. Thank you so much, Heavenly, Laurelyn, and Chrissy. Was Chrissy here? I thought I saw Chrissy. Haven't seen her in a while. I don't know if she had to dip. I know Laurelyn did. So, but I have the 3 best brunches in the world. I think anybody who comes in here will say so. And thank you guys. I have the best audience, the best replay crew, the best power crew, the best dragonflies. I love you guys. You've made a huge difference in my life. And oh, she's not feeling good. Oh. Okay, Chrissy, if you're listening to this on the replay, feel better, honey. Thank you for being here. And thank you and you and you and you and all of you and you back there and you over there and you under there. And thank you for being here. Be sure to give this live a thumbs up, subscribe. And if nobody's told you this today, and even if they have, I'm telling you this. I love you guys so, so much. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Hi, guys. Welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy.
Carefully strumming this old guitar, words rolling out into the fire. Never ask why my heart burned blue. Here in the haze where you inspire me. Here in the darkness I hear my cue. Time to find some solitude. Here where my soul bleeds openly, deep in the heart of sin and you. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you. Carefully strumming this old guitar again.